So I tried to film this before. I wanted to make a video and talk about my experience finishing school, taking my registry, everything, just so that I would have it to look back on one day and remember all the fun. So I graduated May 15th. I finished up school the first week of May. I had my pinning ceremony that week. Graduated May 15th. It rained. It rained the day of my pinning. It rained the day of graduation. Like when I say we were all literally sitting in the pouring rain, like raining on our heads for hours. But it actually really didn't take away from the magic, and despite how sitting in the rain obviously isn't an ideal situation, I actually really enjoyed the experience of graduating. I thought that the class speakers were really amazing. It all felt really sentimental to me, and I remember when I was sitting there, I was like, I could feel the gravity of the moment, which is what I was hoping for, because I felt like I was kind of out of my body the last several weeks of school, months, maybe even years, I don't know, but I had obviously gone through a really big loss in the end of March, and I think that had to do with why those last couple weeks were so intense, and why I forgot to put on sunscreen, why I was disassociating. Obviously it was a protection thing, which is unfortunately what I do when I'm experiencing grief. But it was for the best, really, because time doesn't stop for anything when you're in school, and even loss and tragedy and all that stuff. So I was grateful I was able to hold it together for those last couple weeks. But as soon as school finished, I was I just really want to be in my body so that I can be here in this moment and feel the gravity of how important this day is. And I think I was really tired because I didn't sleep the whole night before. I don't know why. I think I was just anxious. And so I was kind of delirious from not sleeping the whole morning of when we were taking pictures and all this stuff. But when it came down to the actual ceremony, for some reason I locked in, and I was wow, this was a lot to get here, and I'm so proud of this moment and everything. So as soon as I finished school the first week of May, and I had been picking away at registry prep, I would say, pretty steadily since mid-March. I think mid to end of March. I think when we went on spring break and came back, I was okay, it's time. So I had been picking away, but I had more been doing mock exams and mock questions and stuff, and less actually going back through and going over topics that I had really kind of needed to touch up on and had forgotten about. So I made it my goal once school was over that I was gonna actually put a lot of my registry prep time towards actually learning instead of mocking. And that was partially because I had heard a lot of people say on TikTok and stuff and Reddit, make sure you're not just doing mock questions, make sure you're actually learning the material. Whatever you do, don't just memorize questions, it's not going to help you for the test. And so, like, I knew a lot of people that did work for, where they just pretty much ran through Rad Review and ran through Clover over and over again until their test date. But what I did was, like, the weeks between getting out of school and then leading up to my registry, I, like, went to the library 2 hours a day, and I would get, like, the private study room. And I would use that time mostly to watch videos and, like, learn concepts versus, like, using it to do a lot of mocks. And then when I would get home, I would, like, eat dinner, watch, like, a TV show, and then get back on and then do some mocks. But I think, like, what helped me the most was that I did give myself that time to, like, relearn things that I really needed to spend more time on. I did Kettering, so I did Kettering, I did Clover, and I did Mosby's, and a little bit of Rad Review. I would say out of all of those tools, I disliked Rad Review the most, even though I would say that maybe it's the most helpful. I think for some people, like, learning that format and that style of questions probably will definitely help them for their actual exam. But for me, like, I couldn't get over the fact that it was, like, really destroying my confidence, I think. And, like, ultimately I had to ask myself if that was actually a good tool. Like, something that is more similar to the ART than other platforms, maybe, but ultimately something that's kind of destroying my confidence. And, like, really ask myself how much time I wanted to spend on that, and if it was really helping me. And I think what was interesting was that when I first started registry prep, I remember thinking, like, I am never going to be able to answer these questions. Like, these questions are literally so hard. I don't know how anybody is answering these. Like, but after months of Clover and months of Mosby's and months of, you know, just going through it over and over, I did start to tap back into Rad Review a little bit towards the very end, like, leading up to my test, and, like, I was showing improvement, and I thought that that was really good, because I was like, there was a time when I did not think I'd ever be able to get above a 55 on a test. I will say it's true what they say about Rad Review, because all along, like, my professors and everybody was telling me, like, take Rad Review with a grain of salt, add 20 points to whatever score you get. And I remember thinking, like, this is insane, though, because if I'm getting 50s, like, there's no way that that's actually, like, gonna translate to a passing grade. So, but it did. And I'll say that my last test that I took on Rad Review, I think I got a 63%, and I got an 82 on my ART. So they were, like, spot on with the adding 20. Which I think in hindsight, I should have believed them and not let that platform kind of destroy my confidence as much as I did. Ultimately, the mock questions, like the mock tests on Mosby's, I thought that that was such a good place to, like, because there was 4 in total for each subsection. Not subsection, but section. And that was, like, I'm pretty sure within those 4 tests, like, there's every question that you could ever get on the ART. Like, you're gonna touch on every single thing in that book that you should need to pass that test. So that ended up being like a really good, not intimidating resource. Like, that, I would feel good about doing that, because throughout my program, I worked in my workbooks and I tried to utilize them to the best of my ability. And so, like, working out of workbooks was more comfortable for me, I think. So ultimately, that was maybe one of the best $50 I spent. Again, I didn't do too much on the mocks because it wasn't teaching me. It was a good way, I think, to gauge where I was at once I was approaching test day, getting a little closer to test day. But at the same time, you don't really want to see a 60 popping up 2 days before your test. Even though it does equal an 80, like, there was something about it that was really unsettling to me, I think, consistently. So I would say to anyone that's taking the ART, like, use mocks more of a tool of gauging progress. And so that might even mean just you were getting 50s one week and then you got 55 the next week. Like, I would take that and I would be like, okay, I'm progressing. And that's all that really matters ultimately at the end of the day, is that, like, you are progressing. And anyways, my registry came up, and I'll never understand how it came up so fast. I had set the date on Valentine's Day. Me and my girlfriends, we went back and forth with ourselves for like 1 minute. We didn't think too much on it. We were between 2 dates we were gonna pick. And we all pretty much felt in our gut that June 3rd was the day. Even though it felt soon. Like, it felt soon after graduation. But I'm so happy we did pick that date. Obviously, now that we've passed, but because I did not want to drag this out too far into the summer. I mean, we've given so many summers to school, and I just did not want that to be the case for us this year. And I think all of us were thinking the same thing, was just, hi little cutie. It was just like, we're just gonna get it done. And that kind of gave us like a little bit of like a boost of like really locking into studying, because we didn't have all this excess time. So the day came quickly. I couldn't even believe it. Like, all of a sudden it was just June. It was June 2nd. And I was like, how is our test already tomorrow? And like, I'm gonna be honest, I did not feel ready, and I think that that's really normal. And I think it's just because you realize like how much information there really is, and then you think, there's no way like that I know all of this. And the thing is like, I wish that I could tell myself, like, you don't have to know all of it. Like, you just have to know enough about most of it that you could answer questions on it, and then like tell myself like, you can answer questions on it. Like, you know that you can do that. Because the day before, I was not feeling like, I would go back and forth with myself. Like, I was like, I'm not ready to take this test. And then, like, the people from my program kept passing and passing and passing. Like, everyone had passed. Everyone that took it passed. And so that gave me confidence, because I'm like, I took the same program as them. Like, I should be able to pass too, like if they're passing. But then a part of me was like, no, they're passing because they're smarter than you or something. Like the doubt would creep in. And then, like, ultimately, a calmness kind of came over me the night before, and I was like, think about everything you do know. Like, you know so much stuff about this. Like, the chances of you getting questions that you don't know are more slim than getting something you do know. You know what I mean? So, like, I was just trying to do anything I could to, like, keep myself in a place of, like, calmness. Granted, it's hard. Like, you want to freak out. Honestly, it's the biggest test of your life. It's 230 questions. Like, it's, you only have 3 chances to take it. Like, all of these factors. Knowing people that don't pass the first time. I know people that didn't pass the first time. Like, I know people that didn't pass the second time. So that was what I think was fueling a lot of doubt. But the morning that I woke up the next day, the day of my test, I couldn't believe the, like, clarity that I felt. And in hindsight, it's because, like, it was the end to a really long chapter, and that is going to come with, like, emotions regardless. But I thought it was going to come with nervousness and, like, insecurity, but it came with, like, gratitude. Like, honestly, I felt so much gratitude that morning. On my ride there, I felt peace, and I remember thinking, like, all right, it's time to go and do this. Like, I walked in, I was calm, I sat down at the computer, and the first, like, 10 questions I got were super easy. And I mean, I'm not going to say super easy, they're really hard, but they were things that I felt like I knew. And I think my biggest fear was that when I sat down, I was going to just get a bunch of questions back to back to back that I didn't know, or that I was second guessing myself on. And when that, like, didn't happen, I started just, like, cruising. Like, I was like, all right, like, let's do this. We're here, we're doing it. I'm sitting next to my 2 best friends in the program. Like, I could feel their, like, strength. Like, they were giving me strength, like, by sitting next to me. Like, I knew Hannah was right next to me. I knew, you know, all the people that were there, I believed in them all, and I, like, cared about them all. And it was pretty much like, I couldn't have asked for, like, a better environment, honestly. And I did things the way that I was praying to be able to do them, which was calm and, like, not losing my shit and not forgetting things that I obviously know. And I was so grateful for that ultimately. Like, I didn't change any of my answers. I didn't even go back and go through all my answers, which that's probably why I got an 82 in hindsight over, like, maybe an 86 or an 87 or 88 even. But I didn't care because I wanted to pass, and that was what I wanted, and that's what happened. So, and what I didn't want was to go back, start second guessing myself, freak myself out. Like, I wanted to just trust myself, and I did. And when the 82 popped up on the screen, like, I covered my mouth, and I was like, oh my God, it's over. And it was this wash, like, it washed from my head to my toes of, like, emotion. And honestly, like, everything was flashing. Like, I was flipping through all of the trauma and pain and suffering in the last few years, and I was like, it was all for this. Like, it all makes sense now. Like, it was all worth it, is exactly how I felt. And I was, like, so proud of myself in the moment. I was like, oh my God, I'm one of those people too. Like, I'm an RTR. Like, it's not just a dream anymore. It's my reality. And it's still surreal.